magic. Come out and there's a brand new toy sitting there. Who had ever heard of such a thing? You know who it hurts the most? Forget about the economic side of it. I'm going to go to what people have heard me talk about before around Christmas time. Christmas is important for poor people. Christmas for me as a kid who had nothing, Billy's heard this many times, anybody who listens to this podcast regularly knows this, is a big deal. It is an opportunity for me to imagine what might be. There was a post yesterday on Facebook in one of the groups that I follow. It's classic pictures from the 70s and 80s. And in one of the pictures was an ad from Tyco, you know, the electric car racing folks. And they had the Taj Mahal of Tyco racetracks. You know what I'm talking about, Billy? The racetracks,
like
they're black.
Racing.
Yeah, slot car racing. You know, they're black and go around. And if you ever got one, it might just be a circle. But again, if you could buy another one, then you can start to make ramps and go around and up and whoop-de-doos and all of that. Mm-hmm. And the ad was for like the Mac Daddy of them all. It was laying out that you could get the cars pre-set up so you didn't have to dick with them when you got it. You know, you could buy this version and that version and everything was ready to go and you were just going to go racing. I remember the ad. I remember the simple little picture. As soon as I saw it, I started to freak out and tell anybody that was around me, I remember this ad. And why do I remember this ad? Because I circled that ad in the Toys R Us circular, which would denote to Santa Claus when I got to go sit on his lap and I had my magazine. The circular is what would come out in a newspaper. I don't know if you've ever heard that term, Billy. It might be past your time. But the circular, Toys R Us had come out. And again, the way you got any information for the most part was the newspaper. And so inside of the newspaper, they would put this circular, which would be their Christmas toy kind of, you know, it's, 8 or 10 pages of nothing but toys and their price and all of that. And so many parents all over the country would give it to their kids, and their kids would grab it, and you'd quickly go lay down on the floor, and your brother and you would grab a pen. In my case, my brother and I'd fight over one pen if we were lucky enough to find one, and you would start to go through it and start to circle what you just had to have, what Santa Claus just had to bring you, because you're poor, you don't have anything, and anything extra, anything special. Like I said, in those days, a box of cereal was special. I think I've done this every Christmas. I'm just going to keep doing it. Christmas and Christmas lights and the Christmas experience to a poor kid in a poor neighborhood means everything, regardless. And this is where people will come back at me and they'll say, well, but you get people's hopes up and then you dash their hopes come Christmas Day when they get none of those things. And I will tell you that there's a problem with your kids if that's reality, because for me, it was always the promise, what might take place, what might happen. There's a chance that I might be able to get this. And just the run away with your imagination, fall asleep at night, thinking about racing those cars and what that's going to be like when they show up was extraordinary. It was, as an imagination for a kid, life-changing. It made life better. And then we would go and you'd see all those Christmas lights everywhere you'd go, and you'd go down to the big Meyer and Frank, and Santa Claus would be down there, and there'd be a tram overhead. I mean, they really did it up. I should say it's how they do it up in the South, by the way. When I was a kid in Portland, Oregon, they did it up the same way they do it up today in the South. I mean, there's a tram up there that kids could ride on, and Santa's area and all the toy stores. And I mean, it was a whole event, and the windows, just like Toy Story, were completely full of everything Christmas, and people spent money and time putting these things together. And it was a big deal. I understand to some extent times change, but I don't know. The malls down here are packed. So I don't know how they changed that much. And you got the same sort of events and same sort of Christmas towns and all those same sort of things down here that they have all but abandoned in the Northwest, probably in California, and probably, I'm guessing, up in the western part of Vancouver or of Washington State. So those things mean something. And at my house, when I lived in Portland, every year you could see my house from the moon. I mean, if there was a plane overhead, they knew where I lived, because my kids were going to come home to these giant light shows and all of these big stuffed lit toys, out on or air stuffed big toys out on the lawn and the whole thing. And they'd stare out the windows every time they would come home, and I could look, and I would watch them look at those things when we would come home, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Certainly a way different demographic economically than I could have ever hoped to be as a child. But the look's the same. The look in their eyes was exactly the same. That look of wonderment and what might be and what could be and where this might go. Forget about that they had, 10 gifts under the tree each. And for me, there was one gift under the tree. And after all of that anticipation, after all of that time that we studied that Toys R Us circular, and we circled each one of those little toys inside of there, Christmas morning to come and there'd be one gift for us, we'd grab that gift and immediately try to figure out what kind of cereal it was, knowing, of course, that it was cereal, and just waiting for everybody else to get up so that we could open our gift every now and then. And as we got, maybe 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, there'd be a gift out. So my mother would come up enough money. We had one year I got a used kind of a machine gun thing. It was all beat to hell. She got it at a thrift store or something. It didn't matter to me. It worked, right? Little BBs come out. You turn the thing and it'd fire them off and come back in like a shooting gallery type deal. I remember that toy very well. My brother and I played with it left and right. She probably got it for $1 at a thrift store, right? It's probably a 25-year-old toy. I could care less. Didn't matter. Magic. Come out and there's a brand new toy sitting there. Who had ever heard of such a thing?